Hey guys, I am Ibigandscary. I'm bringing you another StarCraft 2 replay. This time it's going to be Game 4, featuring the clan war between Team Awesome Gamers and NoN Esports. We have from Team Awesome Gamers Flo, our Periwinkle Zerg in the bottom right hand side. He is a master's level on the EU server. That's actually a really cool tag. And by tag, I mean like icon. It's a tag also. It's actually really cool. I like it. It's some sort of a bird, maybe an owl. I'm not 100% sure. But Team Awesome Gamers definitely got it going on. NoN Esports actually pretty cool too. It's a little bit of see-through stuff. That's pretty neat. KillInHeaven is our current one-win streak Terran player. He is our orange Terran in the top left-hand side. Also Masters level on the EU server from NoN Esports is KillInHeaven. He played a very convincing kind of bio siege amalgam that we typically see in TVT against a Terran from Team Awesome Gamers on the last game. And so now we're going to see how his TVZ actually, matches up against his opponent. If you watched the first game in the series, we also saw a TVZ, and as I mentioned then, I will mention now that it's very much figured out from the Terran perspective. I mean, you know that you want to open with some Reapers, you know you want to do a little bit of harassment, you know you want to get out some Hellions in order to keep your opponent contained, not just on 3 bases, but also with the creep spread kind of held in check. You know what you want to do, and your opponent knows what he wants to do. So that's whenever you get a lot of clever tactics. I want to eke out a very small advantage because I know what my opponent's going to be doing. So sometimes you see radical deviations, but more often than not, you just see really fine refinement. You see really high talent, which is why I like this matchup especially. At Masters level, you can definitely expect to actually see that. Overlord's going off to the bottom right, top right. They don't know it's cross spawned, I guess. Very typical. Very typical. 15 hatch followed by a 15 pools. Like I said, very figured out. Extractor being started at a bit of an aggressive time tells us it's not going to be aggressive on the expanding, rather aggressive on the speed, and that makes sense because he's having to deal with the unknown spawn locations as well as not really knowing what his opponent is doing. CC from Heaven is going down to the bottom left-hand side, but with the Reaper going to be popping out in just a couple of seconds, he'll be able to redouble his scouting, and it looks like he did indeed guess correctly, and he's going to be sending his Reaper down to the bottom right-hand side. So fantastic, absolutely fantastic from KillInHeaven, and eventually he's going to get up here with his Overlord. He's going to realize his opponent's not here, and also the Zerg is going to know exactly where Heaven is. So yeah, I mean, there's not a lot to say right now. We just have to pay close attention to what the Reaper is doing because, like I said in the first game, very important that these Reapers are kept alive. They can afford a lot of early harassment possibility and early scouting for Heaven, and really the onus is on him. Zerg knows what it wants. Zerg wants 3 bases. He doesn't really want to kill his opponent right away. He wants 3 bases. He wants lots of gas. He wants to transition over to those mutas, maybe do some roach harassment if his opponent's feeling frisky, but all things said and done, Zerg knows what it wants, and what it wants is just to stay alive. Terran, on the other hand, needs to be aggressive. It needs to get out there and, do damage to the drones, keep those drones in check, keep the creep spread in check, keep the queens dead, stuff like that. So you see a lot of aggression coming out from the Terran player, and this is actually it's a nice exchange for Heaven. I mean, being able to take down those Zerglings in order to deny the scout, because Flo definitely knows where his opponent is now. Definitely knows it's in the top left-hand side. His Overlords are actually moving in that direction right now, but he doesn't know if there's a CC on the low ground. He doesn't know if there's going to be an aggressive 11-minute timing attack. He doesn't know if, double gas has been tapped. 3rd CC being constructed right now on the high ground because Kevin sees what he likes, and he's kept his 3 Reapers alive. Is he going to be transitioning to anything else? Probably not. Last time we saw a TVZ, three Reapers is very much the typical, and you transition over to like 4 Hellions, and then you start doing quite a lot of damage. Look at that, catching the Queen right whenever she's pooping out that creep tumor, even denying the creep tumor on top of it. Really good play here from Heaven. And unfortunately, Flo, he's not really getting any momentum. He doesn't feel super confident just yet. His spawning pool is done with the metabolic boost. Yeah, so Zergling speed is done, so the creep spread not as important as it was previously. He's not going to be relying exclusively on those queens, and we can see there's not a lot of queens out on the field right now, just 4. Not a comical number like we saw last time, not a ridiculous number. CC on the high ground is going to be finishing, so like I said, Heaven has the onus on him. He gets to make the moves. Flo knows exactly what he wants to do, but Heaven gets to choose which way this battle is going to be going, and he's chosen he's going to be working on on his economy. It looks like a little bit of a push in here, but with the Hellions already out right now, and with this wall almost completely complete, these Zerglings are not going to be able to sneak up here. This unit composition right here is just tailor-made to deal with those Zerglings, even with the spread. Pulling back the SCVs to supersaturate the main, not really an overreaction at all. It definitely keeps those SCVs alive and makes it so that this really doesn't do any damage at all. It barely touching the supply depots, and he could have lifted off the orbital command if he really felt like that structure was in danger. So it doesn't really accomplish anything except for guaranteeing that these Hellions and Reapers stay on the side of the map that they're actually on, and this is why TAGG electing to grab the gold expansion. But with the Zerglings completely running home, I wonder if Heaven is going to be feeling frisky and is going to be moving out with these guys, going to go for a strike. He didn't grab the natural third, the one that everyone expects him to get because it's so much closer. Instead, he grabbed this one, which is super wide open. So it's an interesting decision. We'll see if it pays off. It's very cool. Very cool. 1-1 on the production tab right now for Heaven, 1-1 on the production tab for Flo. And is he at the point where he can expect to get his Spire out soon? I mean, his lair is almost done. I'm expecting it over here. Okay, great. At his main, he's just now grabbing his 4th gas. So yeah, a little bit off for the gas time, and he needs to get that Spire out. He needs to get that Spire started, or he needs to be working on some other tech. 1-1 Zerglings and Banelings is not going to keep him alive for very much longer. He needs to get out some form of harassment to keep his opponent in check, especially with that super early third that has been constructed by Heaven. And look at that. This is what that economic advantage has afforded him. He's getting all of these barracks being produced right now. This is going to transition into just a lot of damage. He's going to be able to do a lot of drops. He's getting the Banshee that was on the production tab just a couple of seconds ago is going to be popping out, and he is being aggressive with these Hellions. He did see that base is here. However, with plenty of Zerglings and the creep spread almost connecting them, I feel like this is enough to guarantee that third is going to survive, at least for the time being. Keep an eye out for that Banshee. This is really going to be the one that's going to be doing a lot of damage. This is going to be distracting Flo. However, at the same time, that Banshee is going to be doing, quite a lot of damage back at home. And look at that. Spire has been started. Spore Crawler off to the north side. Really great play here from Flo, getting that static defenses there. And it looks like the Banshee has given up on that, is actually going to be back at home. And I guess this is why that Overlord probably saw it leave. Maybe not. I mean, it was probably produced here. Maybe it swung off to the north side. I'm not 100% sure. Regardless, that Overlord is going to get chased off, but the third has been taken. And Spire's just about halfway done. Spire's about halfway done. How much gas? How many guys can we expect to pop out here? I mean, 6, maybe just 5, maybe just 7. I mean, he's still got like 40 seconds left, so 7 or 8 Mutalisks are probably going to be popping out in just a handful of seconds once that Spire finishes off. No surround for those Zerglings. You can just see how quickly they melt away, and that's what I'm talking about. This thing is just tailor-made to keep those Zerglings in check, and those Zerglings really wanted to come over here. They wanted to go up to the third. They wanted to do a lot of damage, keep the economy for the Terran player in check, but unbeknownst to him, this guy has been done for a while. And that's just constant money being poured into the account in extra mules, extra SCV production, 4 Mutalisks on the production tab. So I wonder what he's doing with all that extra gas. He doesn't need it for the supply. Maybe he's just waiting for the larva. Yeah, he's got 2 larvae. Okay, so he's just waiting for the larva. 2-2 on the production tab also. I feel like neither player is capable of pushing in and doing game-winning damage at the point. I mean, Hellbats are pretty sturdy. Reapers are pretty sturdy. Actually, this might be enough. I did not realize that those Hellbats were in this great number. He's been constantly producing them, buying enough time to get these Banelings out. Remember, there are a handful of Mutalisks out on the field. They need to be here, though. They need to be in this fight. And there goes the 4 Mutalisks. Are not going to be supported by enough Zerglings to actually get on top of those Marines, but there goes a really nice Baneling connection. Handful of Marines are remaining alive, but I think there's enough Mutalisks here to actually clean up these Marines, if just barely, and he'll be taking quite a lot of damage because of that. We can already see 1 Mutalisk did go down, and that is unfortunate. That is definitely unfortunate, because he needs to keep these Mutalisks alive. He definitely needs to keep them alive. He's got 6 more. His gas is becoming starved because this base was completely shut down, and this is the 3rd base, and he realizes it. Okay, he's getting that 4th base probably just for the extra gas income, but at the same time, we already saw Heaven's economy back at home. And look at that. I mean, so many barracks being producing, so many Marines. We can see 6 Marines on the production tab. He's probably capable of more than that just with these guys right here. And so, yeah, there goes 9 more. And these guys are going to absolutely shred the Mutalisks. And so because of that, he's going to have to, Flo is going to have to decide, do I produce a lot of Mutalisks? Do I produce more Banelings? Can I rely on my creep spread? Can I let my opponent just sit on 3 bases with a 4th one being created right now? Can I afford not to harass with my Mutalisks? And that's a very tough decision. But with just 9 out on the field right now, even if he could magically transport these Mutalisks to the production tab and start doing a lot of damage to this non-guarded 3rd, at the same time, this Doom push is coming out, and this looks like a game-winning army. Obviously, it really depends on the Baneling connection. Obviously, it depends on how much creep is still in the area for that connection, because there's quite a lot of Banelings in this unit composition. But we can already see he's starting to spread his units, making it so that when the Baneling connections actually happen, they're not absolutely devastating. And yeah, we can see 2 Banelings going down just for the price of 2 Marines. Really the sort of engagement that Heaven is looking for. And at the same time, where are the Mutalisks? Where are the Mutalisks? 10 Mutalisks just kind of sitting over here, I guess. No, all right, there we go. I knew they were doing something clever. And they were over here. It looks like a Widowmine was in the area. Didn't get any kills, but definitely softened up these Mutalisks. And we can see that only a handful of them are retreating. At the same time, an engagement coming in. Flo managing to crack the Terran's back, but at the same time, it looks like this mineral line has been completely ravaged. Where are the Mutalisks? They are coming in from the north side, going to be cleaning up the drop as it tries to retreat. However, it looks like this entire force is going to go down. Very important for him to actually take out these medevacs. Remember, the boost was spent early in that engagement. Really good pickup for Flo. Obviously, a bit of a damaging push insofar as taking care of a lot of the units that were here. A lot of the drones did go down, and we can see that the impending push once again. Those Marines are moving out. I do feel like that engagement went in the favor of Flo. However, this secondary push is going to be very difficult for him to actually deal with. A lot of Banelings being produced on the north side, but the creep spread is beginning to fall back. I mean, a lot of the creep tumors that were over here on the north side have been taken care of. Here comes the push. No, not a lot of spread. However, the majority of the Marines were over here on the left side, away from that creep, and now we have aggressively positioning Widowmines. Has to be careful. Oh wow, they just barely go down. Very cool. Once again, forcing the drones back, just abusing this high ground position. But the 4th has been taken, and the 4th has been saturated, additionally with extra gas. So we can actually see that the bank is beginning to climb for Flo, and 22 Zerglings are being produced right now. So yes, this 3rd base is being camped right now. However, the extra income that's coming in from that 4th base is actually making it so that this is not the worst thing in the world for Flo. And obviously, Terran is in a very commanding position right now, but I expect Flo to be able to field at least a moderate force in a couple of seconds and make it so that he can actually do some damage to his opponent. And this is exactly what he needs to do. Be clever, be cute with those Mutalisks, actually get out there, do some damage. Unfortunately, a Widowmine shot does go off, actually doing quite a lot of damage to those guys. Has to be very careful to dance around that Thor, because that splash damage anti-air is just absolutely devastating. But these Mutalisks really are not going to be mega helpful in the coming battle. They'll be very helpful if they keep this army in check. And we saw that, Heaven has no problem turning around if he sees those Mutalisks are knocking at his front door. So Flo needs to be very aggressive with these guys. He does not need to fly right over his opponent's main army. Oh, and yeah, that's what I was talking about. We had like a 60 supply gap just a couple of seconds ago, and now Flo has narrowed that down to almost 30. So very, very cool to see that Flo is actually using these extra resources afforded to him by this brief moment of respite. However, some of his forces are a bit afield. These Zerglings are going to be doing a run by over here, and at the same time we have this massive force of Marines. I think he's going to have no option but to absolutely sack this base. And he can't afford to throw those Banelings away like that at all. Good connections, but he needs God connections in order to actually deal with all of these Marines. Look how quickly they just completely destroyed that Queen. Really good connections over here, but again, it's just a drop in the bucket. This base definitely does go down, and unfortunately I couldn't pay attention to what the Zerglings were doing. I can assume that those Zerglings were cleaned up, yeah, because they weren't running back. Here's a handful of them. I guess they got cleaned up by this barracks. This bunker, it really wasn't important. This was what was important. This was where the major battle was. So I think that eventually Flo could probably have halted this advancement, but I think we see that, you know, KillInHeaven had just a massive lead. Look at all that money. Look at the infrastructure back at home, just pouring out units. And, you know, with the mineral income right here being denied so much, Flo really just never caught his stride. And that was just because Heaven was being very, very good. It's not like Flo made a mistake on his macro or anything like that. It was just Heaven being very good rather than Flo being bad. It's a very good game. Very good game. Thank you for watching. That was game number 4, which means NoN Esports and Team Awesome Gamers are actually tied right now 2-2. So we'll be going into a best of 3 basically in this best of 7. And so that's great. I'm having a good time. I hope you're having a good time. If you have a game you want me to cast, you could PM me here or on Reddit. One way or another, I will see you guys later. I'm Ibigandscary. Bye.